Welcome, my name's Sam and this is The Little Greenhouse Creates. Thank you for joining me today. And this is our first card for the stamp set of the week, Year of the Flowers. It's an online set, so you won't find it in the current catalogue. It also comes with dies. So let me move this card aside for a second and I will bring in my stamp set. So this is the beautiful stamp set. Oh, excuse me. It has 12 flowers ranging from January to December. And it's a different flower for each month. And so as I said, it's an online and it comes with dies. And the dies we will look at later on in the week. As my Monday tradition, I have stamped out all of the images so I get a better feel for them. So as I say, January all the way through to December. And then I've got, sounding out of breath and I don't know why, I do apologise. Starts with happy birthday, sending you a flower or a floral hug, should I say. I couldn't have picked a better friend and hoping your day blooms with happiness. So quite nice sentiments to go along with the flowers. So as tradition on a Monday, we are going for a slightly simple card, ease ourselves into the week. And what I've done is I've layered out all the months and I've just chosen to focus on 3 of the months. So basically it's a card for June, July or August. So let's bring in our supplies. And I have quite a few. So we're also going to focus on the new in colours. So let's have a look and see what we've got. So the first thing I've got is Secret C, which is a new in colour. That measures 8 inches by 5 3/4. And we're going to fold or burnish at the 4-inch mark. I'm going to burnish that with my bone folder. I then have a piece of Timid Tiger. This measures 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. And then I have a white piece of cardstock, which measures, I've got to get this right. So it's 3 5/8 by 5 3/8. So it's just a hair's breadth shorter than the actual backing mat, but the Timid Tiger will pop through. I'm also using today the in colour flat pearls. So these are the new pearls to go along with the new in colours. And I'm using all the pens, which we'll go through in a moment. So the first thing, oh, and I have a strip, sorry, for a sentiment. So the first thing I am going to do is I'm going to get myself a ruler and a pencil. Now, I need to measure, to make sure that all of these flowers fit on the page correctly, I need to measure that, put 2 lines on the page. I'm hoping if I move this over, you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Yes. Okay. So I need to measure 1 3/4. So I'm going to measure 1 3/4, which is just there. And I'm going to pop a line down. Okay. Then I'm going to do 3 1/2. And this will give me enough room for all of my flowers to fit on the page. And the first thing to do, I'm bringing in Old Olive for the greenery. And the first thing I'm going to do, I've got the first 4 flowers sorted out. Let's have a look what I've got. So I've got January, March, April and February. So let's do that. So the first thing we're going to do on this particular line is we're going to go January. And I'm going to pop that as far over to the left as possible. There we go. And then I'm going to take April. And then I'm going to go as far over to the right as possible. And then I know that February and March have got to fit in the middle. So February. And then March. There you go. Once you've done that, when you come to lay the next 4, you know to go under each of the flowers. So let's bring in the next one. So the next one would be March, April, May. So let's find May. Right, so there we've got May. I'm going to take that one off. Actually, let's clean that first. I have got it in front of me. Okay, so let's take January off and put May on. So ink that up. And you know that's going to fit right underneath the January. There we are. I'm going to take that one off, and that's May. And then we've got June. So we can stamp that one straight underneath the February. There we go. Then we're going to take that one off. And we can put July on next. So let's put that on. July. And then we've got August. Now I'm not going to carry on with the other 4 because it will just takes an extra little bit of time. So there we are. We have our flowers all put on. So as usual, I have already stamped up all the way through. And as you can see, I've had a little hiccup there, so we'll sort that. So now it's coming to colouring them in. So I stamped in Old Olive dark, so I'm actually going to do the light Old Olive. And I'm just going to colour in the greenery on September, October and November. I'm not going to focus on December. Now, of course, if you wanted to and you'd got the patience, you could colour every one of the flowers in. And I think at some point I will do that. I'd like to see what it looks like. There we go. And that's going to go around there. But for the purpose of this, I'm just going to focus on the 3 flowers. So what do I think? I think it's a carnation. I'm not very good with my flowers. I go out in the garden and go, oh, that's pretty. And then my husband goes, yes, it's a so-and-so and so. And I go, oh, right, okay. And that's about as far as I get. Chrysanthemum, maybe. I'm not sure about that one. Oh, that's a green leaf there I've missed. Let's colour that in. Anybody knows the colour, what the name of this beautiful flower? Do pop the comments in below. I'd love to know. Right, so I'm using the Timid Tiger. I'm going to do the dark underneath, just there. And then I'm going to come in with the light Timid Tiger. There is a subtle difference in the colouring. As these images are so small, you don't really need to worry too much about blending. You can just lay the colour down, really. Right, so that's Timid Tiger. I'm going to bring in the dark cloud cover. So I'm going to do a little bit of that around the edges. So I suppose it's a, I don't know, a grey blue maybe. There we go. And then I'm going to go over with the light. So it could be, yeah, I'm thinking it's a grey blue really. And then the other colour I've got is the light strawberry slush and the dark. So let's do a dark down here. I'm going to do a dark in the middle of this one. And then I'm going to go on the outside with the light. But as I say, these images are quite small, so you don't really need to worry too much with too much colouring detail. You can just afford to get the colour down. but obviously you can do it if you want to. There we go. Right, so that is our colouring in. Now, as I say, that's literally all I'm going to do colour wise for this, but you could colour them all in. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to layer that onto my Timid Tiger with my multi-purpose. There we are. Pop that onto there. Now, before I glue this down to my base card, I'm going to do something that I don't normally do, or you don't see me do very often. I'm going to bring in a piece of ribbon. Now, this is just basic beige, and it's in the new catalogue. And I'm just going to pop it across. So I'm just going to cut off as much as I think I'm going to need. So not too much. There we go. And then what I will do is I will hold that in place with my glue dots, which are here. Let's take these out. Got my pointy tool around here somewhere. There it is. So just take a glue dot off the back. She says. I did, but I'm not sure where it went. Oh, it's flown across the... I'm sure I'll find it eventually. There we go, that's better. So I know it's going to go across there. Turn it over. Pop one there. And I'm going to pop that across. Oh, look, I found the other glue dot. It was on my finger. And let's put that there. All right. That's going to go across there. And you can pop it in. Now, obviously, if you wanted to, you could bring it a bit further down. Shall I bring it further down so we can see? Yeah, let's do that. Let's bring it down a bit further. I'm going to pop that to there. Let's see how that works. Yeah, that sort of goes under the flower a bit better, doesn't it? Like that. And then I'm just going to move my glue dot. The advantage of the glue dot. And obviously you could do this with Stampin' Seal as well, should you wish to. Let's have a look. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to layer that onto the top with the glue, making sure I put some glue on the ribbon, and that will hold it down. Okay. Perfect. So the only thing that we need to do now is to add our sentiment and also our gems. So I've got this piece of paper. It is 3/4 of an inch. I've got the happy birthday, which is right in front of me. Of course it is. That's why I can't see it. It's Monday. I'm going to try and open this ink pad because it's so new. It's a little bit stiff. Right, just check I'm happy with that. Absolutely perfect. And then I'm going to stamp that down. Lovely. I'm going to bring in my cutter and I'm just going to cut off a section here. Clanking around there. So it's about a 1.5 by 3/4 of an inch strip. Obviously, if you want to make it longer, you can do. I mean, if you wanted to, you could put it a whole strip across there. I'm going to pop that down onto there, but I'm going to put it on dimensionals. I'm just going to put it straight across the middle. That way it will hold the ribbon down and it will also keep it in place. There we go. So let's take the backs off. There, lovely. And that will there all the way down to there. And the only thing to do now is to add my bling, and this is where it's going to cover up this sin or creative opportunity, whichever you would like to do. So let's slip that out. Now I can do one of each colour, or is that really meant to be so? Let's have a look, see what colours they say. So this is 2025-2027 in colour flat pearls. Doesn't give you the full colours. So obviously this is the strawberry slush. So I could put, oh, that's not going to cover that up, is it? Okay, let's one, and we can do a tiny one at the top. And another tiny one. And maybe that's what I'll do. Just be those three. Look at that. And then that way it signifies that it's a November card. That's the way we're going to look at that one today. As I say, any little hiccup can become a creative opportunity. So, oh, I know what we haven't done. We haven't put the inside in. And I have a lovely sentiment, which is hope your day blooms with happiness. So I'm going to make sure that that is actually straight on the block. Always a good look. Let's hope the week improves. I'm going to stamp that up again in the Secret C. Good grief. That's better. It wasn't opening for me. It's very stiff. I have seen people say that if you put Vaseline or lip salve down the side of the runners, it will make it smooth. And I think I'm probably going to have to try and do that. I'm just going to test that. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Bring that down. And I can go in the middle. Wonderful. And then that can go inside. Like so. I have to say I am loving the new ink colours. I wasn't sure when they first arrived, but having just used them, I think there's great potential for them. And the blue, quite funny, you look at the blue or the Secret C and you think, oh, that's quite near to Night of Navy. But when you put it next to the Night of Navy, you will be amazed at the difference in the actual colour. So there are our two cards for today. I hope you like those. We'll be back on Wednesday with a slightly more stepped up version. So do join me then. It'd be lovely to catch up with you. But whatever you do for the rest of the day, stay safe and happy crafting. Take care.